Gaudete, rejoice in the Lord always. I say it again, rejoice. Now, I paused for quite a while over this next verse. Here in this translation, we have, all men should notice how kind you are. I looked at different languages and I saw how many different ways of approach there were to this one word in Greek. Modestia vestra, literally your modesty, but actually the Greek is not that. It's very nuanced. It's translated as Güte in Luther's Bible, as bonté in French. It comes across in different forms in the two translations we have in Welsh, the Old and the New. And mansuetude is also used, this element of being, now what? The root seems to be a combination of kindness, leniency, goodness, and indeed flexibility. I noticed in the translation back into Hebrew that they brought the root of anavim into it, the poor of the Lord, the anavim of Yahweh. It's this element of being bendable. And it's an important concept actually in the Greek church. They call it epikeia. You have a law, but you have a human being before you. And they have this principle which gives them sometimes a certain elasticity of trying to enter into the mindset of the lawgiver so as not to do in concrete terms the opposite of actually what he wants. Now that matters to you and me on a daily basis. You have your way of seeing things, but you have a human being before you. Be careful that your way of seeing things doesn't blot out the concreteness of the human being. E.g., go through life in absolute mode. You are keen on certain issues, and you will not compromise on a certain issue. Yes, but never forget there is one issue that underlies all. It's peace, charity, and therefore also a certain joy. You can be perfect and impossible to live with. You can be virtuous, but heavy going. So we need a bit of, actually this comes in as one of the translations, good sense. That's how the New English Bible translates the verse, good sense. Do you remember, those who are of a certain vintage, the Beatles singing We Can Work It Out? Well, in its own strange way, it had a lot of common sense in it. Life is very short. Notice tornadoes happen when you're sleeping. You wake up in the beyond. My phone on this morning gave me the information of somebody who 2 weeks ago was diagnosed with cancer. He had 14 days before eternity. Life is very short, it goes on, and there's no time for fussing and fighting, my friend. Does that ring a bell? Everything is an issue. So we'll fuss and fight over the issue, and in the process, the big issue has gone out of the window and we're difficult to live with. It applies a lot in the life of a priest, but it applies to each human being. It applies awfully either in a monastery, which is enclosed, or in a family, which is a bit enclosed in itself in the same way, because we're always with the same human beings, which we can brush off, oh, you again. Or we can say, let's make joy out of little things used well, which is a part, actually, of gracing others with the gift of joy as we go through life. Go through life as a heavyweight, and you fail as a Christian. A sad saint is a sorry saint. Un saint triste est un triste saint. But the Lord, in this divinely inspired word, goes on through the pen of St. Paul. Nikil solicitisitis, be anxious about nothing, because joy is taken away by what? Each one of you here has a head full of thoughts. Right now, you're trying to work out the next problem. Is it not true? You've got something on your mind, and you're missing the grace that's there. Well, life is a bit like that. Many, in fact most of us, go through life missing life altogether. I mentioned the Beatles. John Lennon once said, life is what happens when one is planning the next thing to do. We're missing the moment. We're filling the moment with what? Anxiety, worry. I'll give you at the end something I wrote on that very theme, because it destroys the moment. This moment was not meant to carry other moments. It can't. We only have the one. And we can relax in it. And it's actually a divinely given teaching through a hidden saint who now is actually becoming more and more known. For a while, he was the spiritual director of Padre Pio, none less. It's Don Dolindo Ruotolo. And he was given by the Lord in prayer this teaching which he was to hand on. And it's now becoming more and more diffused among Christians. You can download this. Mr. Google knows everything and he'll tell you where to find it. Just the Surrender Novena. The Surrender Novena. And it's very simple. And by the end of it you will have learned one or two things that are worth learning, lest you mess up the gift of the moment. Listen. Padre Pio said Don Dolindo was a saint, and that the whole of paradise was in his soul. That's some compliment. Don Dolindo called himself Mary's little old man. He lived in such great poverty that his own family turned away from him. He opened his arms without fear to embrace contagious sick people, caressing and kissing them. Now, charity manifests itself in different ways in different culture. Do you know that one of the most austere saints in the East, the great hermit San Seraphim of Sarov, when a person found him out, he didn't push him away, but he would greet that person with the expression, "My joy!" "My joie." People feel that straight away, actually even on the phone. Because each person carries an atmosphere around his head. It draws or it repulses. I remember hearing this in student days from a speaker we had on Saturday night. Christians, it's not the way you talk that matters, it's the way you smell. He opened his arms without fear to embrace contagious sick people, caressing and kissing them. He offered himself as a victim soul for mankind, and was afflicted with many sufferings, including complete paralysis for the last 10 years of his life. But he suffered with joy. Now that's not the joy you find in an Irish pub on a Saturday evening when the Guinness flowed freely. That's froth. He also had the gift of prophecy, writing to Bishop Widica in 1965 that a new John will rise out of Poland with heroic steps to break the chains beyond the boundaries imposed by the communist tyranny. Of course, it came true in 1978. Many miracles before and after. You can invoke him and hopefully be canonized one day. Don Dolindo received from Jesus the words of Surrender Novena. It is a prayer that is especially timely now when world events feel out of control and we are trying to grow in trust and abandonment to God's providence. By the way, l'abandon à la providence divine is also classic. It goes back to Jean-Pierre Caussade, a Jesuit way back in the 1600s, I believe, who had this great teaching about the sacrament of the present moment. The present moment contains in it all that we need for our sanctification in that. Live it. embrace it and rest upon it. It's rather like a conveyor belt, coming along, full of unlit candles. And your only duty is to light each candle as it passes. As it passes. You've missed a candle, so what do? You run after the candle that's gone, you try to light it, and all the ones in the meantime are left unlit. Light the candle of the moment that's there. Listen. You see evil growing instead of weakening, Jesus said in this prayer. Do not worry. St. Paul, we've had today. Close your eyes and say to me with faith, thy will be done. You take care of it. I say to you that I will take care of it, and that I will intervene as does a doctor, and I will accomplish miracles when they are needed. It is also timely when our own personal suffering is threatening to overwhelm us and steal our peace. A lot of our peace is lost because we have an insistence that it must be so or else. We control time, we command life. If we were empty, if we were free, we would not care. Caring but not caring. A holy indifference to anything but one only essential matter, the divine will. For if we were free, the expression of divine will in this form would also be our preference. We must cease to exist on the level of the will, and then we can fly. Repose in me, believing in my goodness, and I promise you by my love that if you say, take care of it, I will take care of it. So, I'm doing this novena right now, and I got to the second day today, but I did find help. Listen, why do you confuse yourselves by worrying? Leave the care of your affairs to me, and everything will be peaceful. I say to you in truth that every act of true, blind, complete surrender to me produces the effect that you desire and resolves all difficult situations. And this prayer is given by the Lord himself, which one says 10 times in this novena. Oh Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. And this one today I found also helpful. Surrender to me does not mean to fret, to be upset, or to lose hope. Nor does it mean offering to me a worried prayer, asking me to follow you and change your worry into prayer. It is against this surrender, deeply against it, to worry, to be nervous, and to desire to think about the consequences of anything. And the Lord himself compares it to what a child tries to do. It is like the confusion that children feel when they ask their mother to see to their needs and then try to take care of those needs for themselves, so that their childlike efforts get in their mother's way. Surrender means to passively close the eyes of the soul, to turn away from thoughts of tribulation, that takes away peace, turbulence, and to put yourself in my care, so that only I act saying, you take care of it. The Lord has given us one little unexpected gift to help on the journey of life. A medicine, the best medicine. I think you know what it is. Laughter. It's the only thing that we have which no animal has in that sense, because no animal can laugh. Homo est animal risibilis, defines Thomas Aquinas. Man is an animal that can laugh. And remember, in the enclosed monastic life, it was very, very important knowing how to make a little tingle of joy out of the unexpected. I told you this before, but for those who weren't here, I'll say it again, it just comes to my mind. It's an example of the kind of thing I mean, little joy out of nothing. I was sacristan for about 15 years, so on a Sunday we had the High Mass. Who was preaching today? Your main celebrant was Frère Dominique. So, under the chasuble, I put a razor blade. Now, to shave somebody in French, raser quelqu'un, is to bore him to tears, so a razor blade. And I put also some aftershave, pour essuyer les conséquences, to wipe up the consequences. Aye, vous avez 105 d'une coat. We have 500 before us to be shaved in one go. And of course, he was getting his own back. He was in charge of the kitchen. So in the evening, what did I find? We all go from the church, you see, into the refectory in solemn procession. And we bow to the cross and we start chanting. What did I find at my place? A huge cauldron of Nutella, which I was very fond, massive thing at my place, and a syringe and a tube to give an intravenous injection of Nutella. And we can't laugh, of course, in the refectory. Vengeance is sweet. So you see, life is made of little things, but you can learn the trick as well. Don't be heavy-going, my friends. Sanctity is very human at times, and if only we knew how to give joy and not pain to the poor person that is next to us. Remember the old saying, I heard it with the Jesuits. We're all saints with the Jesuits, the real saints and the martyrs who have to live with them.